and a very, very difficult time believing him. But the only person in my entire life, one of the only people that I had a fear of disappointing was Zaidy. The only person it was so difficult for me at different parts of my life to be honest with him about what was going on in my life, because if I thought for a second he was disappointed in me, I would die right there. I really would. And he was very, very good with me. I know he spoke a lot to a lot of people about a lot of different things, but with me, Zaidy gave me looks more than anything. He really did. He didn't yell at me. He didn't move. He didn't do any of that. He would give me a look, and he was very compassionate with the way that he spoke to me. Unless we were arguing about something that wasn't important. If it wasn't important, we would yell and scream. But if it was important, he would talk very compassionately. And I think that my older brother Yehuda also picked that up from him as well, in a lot of different ways. I see that over there. So I like Yehuda.
Raise one eyebrow.
I'm not up to the Lion King.
No, it's actually Shai, that's a very good tool for me to use. Shai, anytime you did something I didn't like, or we planning on doing something that I wasn't like, I told you to go discuss it with
And my mother did that as well.
No more language for you?
What did your mother do?
What you just said.
I did.
It really is.
Andy, if I stand over here, will you get me?
Now stand in the middle.
You want to just talk loud enough? No, you don't. It's right.
I've been trying to like adjust it.
Andy, you can sit here if you don't mind my foot on the chair at the same time. You can sit here if you don't mind my foot half on the chair. All right, it's just boiling hot. So sit right as long as my
Okay, guys, it's not a recess.
It's not recess.
You say that in this
I'll tell you when it is.
It's good to see everyone. I'm glad that I joined for this. It really means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to Bobby and the rest of the family as well. For the past few weeks, I was really struggling about what to speak about. I didn't know what to say. A lot of different stories and ideas crossed my mind. I considered, like Micha, just going on a rant and just going and going and going and going, but I knew that I would eventually get stopped. So I decided to try to put my thoughts down on paper, which I usually don't do, and just try to keep it a little bit structured. I once heard a Torah by Shloshim, and I don't recall who it was in the name of, but I remember that when I heard it for the very first time, my entire world changed. Little did I know then that about 3 years later, I would be giving over that same Torah at my grandfather's Shloshim. 2 weeks ago, at the end of Parshas Vayera, we learned about the Akedah. Shlomo says the first time the words Yiskadol v'Yiskadol Shmei Rabba, the first time the concept of someone saying that God's name should be great were ever said was by Yitzchak Avinu on the Akedah. We all know that when Yitzchak was on the Akedah, Rashi says that Sarah Yemenu heard what was happening, and then her soul left her body. So two things were happening here. On the one hand, Yitzchak Avinu was tied down to an altar with his father standing over him, about to shecht him, and he's saying that God's name should be great. And on the other hand, Yitzchak Avinu felt that his mother just left the world, and he's saying that God's name should be great. To me, it was very confusing. And the question of Shlomo asks on it is that why is this the first time that a Jew, that someone said that God's name should be great? And if Shlomo answers, because at that exact moment, when absolutely nothing in the world makes sense to us, all that a Jew has left to say is that God's name should be great. To me, this Torah encompasses who Zaidy was. Whether it's a member of the JDL or being a loving husband, father, grandfather, Zaidy was someone who, to me, always put the Torah and the desires of Hashem before his own needs or wants. I mean, who else would sit in the bush with a wheelchair over him and not call for help only because he was in the middle of davening?
Oh, wait, that's a little
Long story short, he left the house and he was going to daven with his little electric wheelchair, scooter, and he left before us, and me and Bobby went to go make sure he got there okay. Bobby and I went to make sure that he got there okay. The Hebrews, So we got there and the scooter wasn't parked outside. So we said maybe we went to a different shul, this and that. So let's go inside and see. And as I was walking into the door of the shul, I saw that in the corner in the bushes there was 2 wheels sticking up. And I go over, and there he is, laying under his electric scooter, but he wouldn't scream for help because he started davening before he left the house, and he didn't want to talk in the middle of davening. So, thank God we went to check on him, and I remember very vividly Bobby screaming at him, and and he just wouldn't respond, and she was screaming and screaming and screaming. Yeah, and he wouldn't respond.
It was terrible.
And he wouldn't
It
respond.
was terrifying.
Yeah, it was a very
That scooter weighed
terrifying.
500 pounds. We couldn't even get it built in.
It's a
And
little
he
bit
was just
exaggerated.
so. And he was so placid. He said, no, if somebody would help me, he knew somebody's going to help.
Well, he said that after he finished davening. Just to end off, I was reading this past week's Parsha of Chai Sarah, and the Lubavitch Rebbe asked the classic question in Parsha: why is the Parsha called Chai Sarah if the entire Parsha deals with Sarah's death? Why is it called the life of Sarah if it talks about everything that happened after Sarah passed away? And the answer is very, very beautifully and clearly, and for me, it really sums up everything that we're doing here today and everything that we as a family strive for and want to be. He says that the real testimony of someone's life is the way the family deals with it after they pass away. And the entire Parsha of Chai Sarah talks about what Yitzchak did and how Avram dealt with it and how Yitzchak got married and went on and built a family and really started the foundation of Judaism. And that's why it's called the life of Sarah, because that was the biggest testimony that we can give to Sarah Imenu. So I bless you all, and please bless me back, that each one of us should have the strength and courage to take something, anything that we learned from Zaidy, and not only to incorporate it into our lives, but to have the schools to teach to our children and to our children's children, until the day comes when Zaidy will be with us again and continue teaching us and showing us what it means to live like a Jew in this world. Amen.
Eitan doesn't want me to say things in between every speaker, so next we have Eitan. Speaking for Eliana. No, Eitan for Eitan, and then...
First Eliana.
Okay.
After Eitan finishes, can you speak in between?
I didn't tell him that I was speaking beforehand, so he got off the hook.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
He's smart.
My theme is Saba's life as a contradiction. Yitzhak said many stories, and some of those things I didn't see, some things he saw that I'm sure I'm going to say that he's going to say. I don't believe that, but that's what my theme will be. But I'm going to say Eliana's speech first. So she says.
Eliana's...
You can say Eliana. No,
Eliana has
give a story about
Are we
Eliana.
allowed to say that? Eliana has laryngitis, so she can't speak first.
Just
She doesn't have laryngitis. Somebody said she has laryngitis. She just lost her voice.
Just for the record, on the camera.
Here we go. Here we go.
It's pollution, you have to speak in front of them.
Let's go.
Right.
I know that there are many stories that I can say about Saba, but to go along with the spirit of November and our Thanksgiving tradition, I thought that I would say what I'm thankful for.
Wait, you're off the hook now.
Okay,
No, it's
that was it.
Oh, Eliana.
I'm thankful to Saba for bringing my mother into this world. Without her, myself, brothers, and our families would not be here too. And then insert whatever you're thinking. I'm thankful to Saba for marrying Savta and bringing our families so smoothly together. I'm so thankful to have all my cousins, aunts, and uncles, and to know how much of a loving family we are all together. I'm thankful for Saba's broad shoulders, as this has become the deeper later recognizable trait. And I know that this trait will be sent down for many generations, including Eliana too. I'm thankful for Saba's strength and courage to fight for our people. I've heard so many stories about what he has done. Many of them I was shocked yet proud to know it was my Saba who had a hand in protecting Jews, not only in the United States, but around the world. I'm thankful for Saba being such a strong spouse of Saba, especially towards the end. I know how much you loved him, even when Saba was trying to pull the mask off his face, and he said, I know you're not going to pull that mask off. In a tone you you use lovingly to our students. Like on that wall. I'm thankful for my mother being so strong during all the time Saba was in the hospital, making sure he and everyone was comfortable, and really showing us keep it honest. Although Saba may have been a quiet man at times, I'm thankful for his kind words every time I saw him, and his love for me and Baruch and Eli. Saba was a great patriarch of this great mishpacha, which will be missed. But I know I can remember all the things he has given me and forever be thankful. I'm going to give 2 quick stories, hopefully quick. So, I remember when I was potty training.
We all remember it, right?
I was 7 and a half. That's how I remember it. My mother trained me by saying, get naked and go into the bathroom, do your business, and then let us know when you're done. So I remember it was one Shabbos lunch, we were by Saba and Saba's house. And I remember taking off my clothes without anyone knowing and running out of the bathroom after I went to the bathroom and saying I did it. Everyone was so proud. Everyone was proud. What I do remember was Saba sitting there with his stern look. This is not a place for a naked baby. I had the Shabbos table, so he was very serious about that.
It happens still this day, right?
I fortunately had the opportunity to be Saba's accomplice on many occasions. I remember when I was young and he started not being able to eat other stuff that we could eat, like cake and meat and chicken, and I sat next to Saba at the Shabbos table often. He would make sure to sneak a few crumbs off my plate, some steak off my plate, but that was my special opportunity. As I got older and learned how to drink, Saba got to steal a few shots from me, so that was my special treat. I didn't tell you before he passed away. Actually, one more story, and I told many of you this, but on during Shiva, and I thought it was apropos for Saba and Saba's relationship. One Shabbos, I think I was there by myself. It must have been 11 or 12. Went to shoot Barakaway for davening at 8 o'clock in the morning. I remember we had to get there like 7:15. It was brutal.
7 o'clock.
I don't know what it was, but whatever it was earlier than the minute. So no one was ever. So yeah, okay. So every Shabbos, Saba would go walk to Saba, pick her up, young Israel of Barakaway, and on the way on the block of the shul, there was this little cinder block of the sidewalk, and Saba literally fell, and just fell like a rock. And his chest stopped his face from hitting the ground because it was so big. And 11-year-old looking at your grandfather falling straight down, like heart attack, something like that, turns to me, like his arm, like, don't you tell Saba. I kept the stress. Anyway, as I was saying, my theme is Saba, Life of Contradictions. So Saba actually, I wrote this, something similar for his living eulogy, and I have a few little twists on it. Whenever Saba said, I love you, or other compassionate words to his children, or great-grandchildren, to be able to see his warm, affectionate resonance of his words, which were always at odds with his rough, strong, and opinionated individual that everyone loved and knew to be the pillar and strength of our family. Put Saba at the bosom of his family, or among his closest friends, for example, Ben Levine, and his warm passions instinctively flowed. He was relaxed, warm, loving, and sometimes even doting. I put Saba elsewhere, and he invariably became introverted, and some might say even shy. With Saba, he was deferential and almost subservient. But with others, it was quite the opposite. He was intransigent. It was his way or the highway. Such was Saba's contradictory nature. Because Saba spoke his mind with an uninhibited frankness and did not much care for what anyone else thought of him, he often infuriated any ideological detractors, while his friends and supporters of the JDL showered him with an innate trust. No one had any doubt who Saba was. He never wore a mask. Everyone knew that Saba was the embodiment of loyalty and pride. If Mayor Kahana was Don Corleone or the Godfather, Saba was Mayor Kahana's legal prosecutor. However, this is a contradiction in and of itself. Everyone thought they knew who Saba was, but very few got to see both sides of Saba. People thought that he was a strong man with a heart of a lion, but didn't really see his emotional, loving side, like we saw at our family gatherings or celebrations. His unadulterated convictions and passion for Tefillah, Zionism, and the protection of the Jewish people could not be matched. In the words of Winston Churchill, if you have an important point to make, don't try to be subtle or clever. Use a pile driver. It's hit the point once, then come back and hit it again, then hit it a third time, a tremendous whack. Saba is the personification of this idea.
Yeah, no, I'm going. I'm
I think Devin has her time limit.
yeah.
No, you're okay? I'm fine, she's okay.
Because I really wanted to call this Phoenix as the, because I was the, I guess the second level of grandchildren, not among Yehuda, Eitan, Yufa, and Tari, and the head, I guess, of like my echelon of grandchildren, whatever, was Tzvi, and really wanted Tzvi to go next.
Yeah, where's Zaidy?
Zaidy's the youngest of the others.
Really? I'm older than Sweet.
You're the youngest of the higher.
I would have been Eliana.
Sorry.
Eitan spoke for Eliana.
Wow. It's fine, I spoke to them. Oh my God, he's next.
She's next.
We're all here.
It's okay.
I'm not speaking.
Kazi didn't play with me.
Actually, she was always doing homework, right?
It was Tzvi, Josh, Doran, Elsie, Laura. Kazi wasn't there.
David, your Zaidy is showing.
Here's Zaidy. Well, that's gonna be something. Yeah, let's
I was kind of on the fence about whether I was going to be saying anything today or if I want to write something down. The whole experience has been really difficult since. So I'm just going to try and go off the cuff and say a couple of memories. I find that I've learned a lot from Zay, even though I don't always know if he was trying to teach me anything. But sometimes he was definitely trying to teach me things. But even in moments when he wasn't trying to give over a lesson, I found that I was still able to learn things from him. And I wrote this actually when we did the memory book for Zay, which one of my greatest accomplishments was the one time that I... It was the one time that I beat Zay in casino.
What?
No, it happened, I promise. And as everyone in this family knows, and as it has been said numerous times, whenever you played card games or any games with Bobby, you would always win, and whenever you played Zay, you would always lose. And I noticed this. It must have been a while ago. I wasn't old enough to really understand what was going on, but at the same time, I knew the game, and I played with Zay every Shabbos that we were there, so I guess I got good at it. And I noticed that I kept on losing, and whenever I would play anyone else, I kept on, especially Bobby, I kept winning. And I remember I asked Zay about this one time, and honestly, a conversation that took place after that escapes me. I think I was younger, I don't remember it quite well, but what I took from that whole experience was that things that matter are things that you're going to have to work for. And life just doesn't hand you these kind of things. And Zay certainly didn't hand victories. So when I finally won, and it was by the slimmest of margins too. I think I haven't played the game forever. I don't even remember how the points go anymore. But I remember that it was very close, and I finally beat Zay. And I was whooping and hollering all throughout the house, and I just remember that he would just, he had this way, and I don't know if anybody saw this, but when he was proud of you, but he wasn't always verbal about it. It was the smile that he had, or he would look at you, and you could see the pride, the napas that he was getting from you was coming so when he finally won, it's a stupid game, but I was so happy about it. And another time that I got that look, which was interesting, and I don't know if, I don't think I mentioned this story anytime throughout the shiva or any of the process, but I remember there was one particular time when we were over in the Far Rockaway house, well, the latest Far Rockaway house, for Shabbos, and Zay sent Moshe Ephraim and I downstairs to get some seltzer. And Mo and I weren't, I guess, very careful with the seltzer because we charged up the stairs holding bottles of seltzer in our hand. So of course we hand the seltzer to Zay and he opens it and it explodes everywhere. And honestly, once again, maybe it's like I erased the stress from my mind. I have no memory of what happened after that. But the one thing that I remember is that Zay, as always, we were cleaning up the table and whatever, and he just gave me that look, like, huh. I guess that one's mine. And I'm happy about that. You know, that's the kind of the feeling that I got. A couple other stories I guess I just wanted to randomly mention. Micha was talking a little bit about consistency. So there were certain moments that I got to share with Zaidy, and I don't know if I was uniquely sharing them, but Eitan was talking about drinks a little bit. So whenever Zay would come over for Shabbos, and there was always a Budweiser waiting in the fridge, like a can, like yay big. And so every single time we would start serving the drinks, and Dib would go and make the lemonade, and we would fight over whose job it was to fill up the water pitcher that week. And Zay would turn to me, because I was sitting next to him, and he said, can you give me my beer? Well, I don't think it ever came out like that. He said, I have beer in the fridge. So that was always something I did for Zay. When we used to sit next to each other in shul, I guess before Dib started going and staying regularly, so I always had that seat. And I would always help Zay with his talis after shul. And especially when we did Shabbos table at our house, or with Zay, anytime after we pointed this out, it made it a thing, but Zay had certain things that he liked to interject in his miros, like oilamim, and that became kind of a rallying cry for our family, and I don't know how it permeated throughout the rest of the family, but I remember one specific time, Sim and I were walking through a kind of an iffy neighborhood. I think we were going to or from a concert, and we were going through the atrium. And we were kind of talking back and forth about how it was, it's kind of shady neighborhood, and we weren't sure, and we need to like look tough and put our hoods up and everything. And we came to it. Tough face, right? I can think of it, but so then I don't remember who came up with this idea, but the general consensus that we came to at the time is that if anybody started to bother us, all I would have to do is I would have to pull out my necklace, and I would show it to the guy in his face, and I would say, I love him. And he would say, oh wait, you're one of Chaim Bieber's kids. I'm sorry. Yeah, so, I don't know.
Deborah.
I really.
No, I delivered this without a moment's notice.
First of all, also to moments not the best okay. I'm not rushing to somewhere else on purpose. I'm filling in for my brother who's missing all kinds of sporting events with his kids. So I was already at one basketball game, I'm going to another one. That's why. Someone gave me this letter that my mother wrote after Chaim passed away. For those of you who don't know me, my parents are Bennett and Linda. My father and mother were friends with Chaim and Selma forever, for my whole childhood. I'll read the letter now. Say something. Okay. Because it brings me up to actually what Eitan said about the passivity, but okay. One of my biggest memories. This is from my mother that she wrote to my dearest Selma. I know that Chaim was one of the most connected people to Hashem, as well as a true Jewish hero. He davened with such kavanah and sincerity. If someone needed a refuah to be said, to whom did you go? To Chaim, because you knew his heart was always into his davening. No fanfare, just sincere, meaningful prayers would come from his heart and mouth to reach Hashem. Chaim's emunah in Hashem never wavered. We are never ready for a beloved one to die. We know that Hashem makes the decisions, even though we are suffering a severe devastation that will never go away. We can't even ask why. We are human beings who do the best we can, and in the end, we have to accept whatever judgment Hashem makes. At this time, we have to work so hard to keep our emunah in Hashem. When two people are so much a part of one another, the grieving is painful and leaves a hole in your heart that never goes away. Like the highest peak of a strong mountain that falls to the ground and can never be replaced. That mountain becomes smaller because it is now without a most valuable part. But the real strength is in the foundation of the mountain, and you have to find the strength in yourself because Chaim's strength was also your strength. You and Chaim were the focus of each other's lives. No one can ever know that realm of your existence. You will always miss him because you are connected to each other in every possible way. You need courage, you need strength, you need to keep your emunah in Hashem. Selma, you are truly blessed by Hashem with the most amazing, kind, and supportive family that has always loved, respected, admired, and adored you and will continue to do so. I love you so much, Selma. With all my heart, it's Linda. So one of my biggest childhood memories is my brother Charles was a very difficult child. He has 9 of his own children today, and some of them are exactly Charles, and I'm getting the sickest satisfaction watching it right now. It's crazy. But at one point during high school, I moved out of the house for a week. I wanted to make a statement to my parents, and I said, I can't live with Charles anymore, that's it. I'm moving into Chaim and Selma's house. And Chaim and Selma welcomed me with open arms, and Chaim and Selma were amazing to me for 2 days. And on the 3rd day, Bennett Levine came to the house. And I said, Daddy, what are you doing here? And it had been Chaim, not Selma, who called him and said, why is she here? She should be at home. Send him. Charles shouldn't be in the house. And then Charles got exiled to Chaim and Selma. And Charles remembers that so much.
He does.
And
He still talks
right.
about it.
And my niece Atara, Charles's oldest, got married in June, and I came in from Israel for the wedding. And it was so important for me to make the time to go see Chaim and Selma. And I was so happy afterwards that I did. And unbeknownst to me or to any of us, the morning of Atara's wedding, Charles disappeared. And we didn't know where Charles was. And when he came back in to the house in Broccoli, he said to me, I went to go see Chaim today because Daddy's not here with Mommy. And it was so important for me to go see Chaim because Chaim was such an important part of our childhood and so special to all of us. And because Daddy wasn't there, I needed to go see Chaim. And he gave him a bra. And Chaim gave him a bra. But anyway, Chaim's memory should be a blessing to every single person in this world.
I was just advised by a higher authority that it's time for mincha. So,
We can do Mara later.
and whoever needs to speak or say anything, you have time afterwards, but here is
You know it's fine, I can edit it.
the ladies can stay for